couple of delays, which is pretty normal and pretty interesting with some of the navigation through this initial trial. But I'll leave it to you, Matt. Like, do you want to give us the updates of where the protein's at and all that sort of jazz?
Yeah. So we've had a couple of delays with the back and report what everyone that's the board stuff. What I'm really excited about is we've got our new plant protein moment. So we've had a bit of a delay of about a month while we were waiting for packaging, getting our raw material quality control systems done. So it took a little bit, but it should have than I expected. But we expected. So it took longer than it should have. So we will have a delay by about a month, which is pretty normal, I suppose. But I just, but at any moment now, we should have some protein powder, and we should have that now for everyone to try, or as many people as we can anyway, because I want to hear your feedback of mine with James. I'm pretty stoked about it. Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the other thing,
well, pretty much. Yeah, with the current trial that's going on. So we're going to leave that just to the end of this weekend as well for those of you who haven't had access to the survey or got the links correctly or anything like that. I'll give everyone an update again just so that we get the most data out of that so we can have a good look at it next week.
Yeah. And it's some interesting feedback already that's cyst patterns, so which is really kind of cool, but also kind of surprising to do those trials because the sort of things that I like to eat is not necessarily the things that everyone else likes to eat. Sort of different opinions in flavor profiles, and especially things like sweeteners. When you've worked in a while and you've spent a lot of time doing taste testing of different products, you're just sensitive to like certain ingredients. Like for me, collagen, went to the collagen factory. I've become extremely sensitive to certain fragrance that you have a different memory attached to. But then stevia has become like super sensitive to stevia. All of a sudden you can taste these bitter notes, and because you go like look at years. So then when I taste things a little bit different to what everyone else does. And colorblind and all that other stuff as well. There's not much I do that's the same as everyone else, and for us to get feedback from as many people as possible. Yeah. And then protein, my plant protein, I'm the most biased, but I'm also the most, when we pump our products out, it's like I also love it the most. I want everyone to love it the most. I'm also like the most skeptical and like I judge it harsher than anyone else.
Yeah, absolutely, man. And it's going to be exciting for it to all come out and roll out properly because a couple of those flavors look pretty decent. I can't wait for the people to see that.
Yeah. And I've got some really weird questions that I want to throw out to everyone in the extra. Create some sort with you, Ty, because I don't actually know how to do the stuff I talk about. So questions to the people about packaging in particular. I want to know what type of packaging. I want to know where you keep your products. Like, do you have it on the bench in the kitchen, or do you have it hidden in the cupboard? I think that might influence what sort of packaging people might want. But also I want to know be the most environmentally friendly packaging and that sort of stuff, because it's blown my mind when you investigate packaging. What's the most, what's the best thing for the environment? I'm curious to see what people buy based on their perception of whether it's good for you, the environment or not. Cardboard ones, they're not recyclable at all. They're just too much wax compared to a big plastic tub. It kind of messes with your head because there's what we want, but then there's also what's available in industry and what's practical. So that's a really interesting thing. But also I've got a whole bunch next with this plant protein. And I don't know which ones to do. So I really want to know. I know what I want to take because what I want to take that's missing from the market or invent and see what happens. But then there's everyone else wants me just to make like a workout, or I want to oil, or I want to multivitamin or some way to go next. So I'd like to get the feedback from the peeps and find out which one I should do next. Good, interesting information anyway, I think. Yeah.
Yeah, well, we can definitely do that in the group and sending out emails to everyone and that sort of stuff to get some feedback there. And yeah, that feedback will be much appreciated so that we choose the right one, hey, because it's not always just about what we want.
Yeah, and I want on to do like a live with a packaging expert. So I want to find someone that can say, and this is what I want the X-Trials to be able to do, is to tap into some of the industry behind the scenes, look at what actually goes into developing a product and the discussions, that decisions, because I think that it's fascinating. I mean, I find it really expert I sit down with. It doesn't matter if it's a label dude or a packaging dude or like systems or flavoring or something. When you get an expert in their chosen field, it's just phenomenal, and it does affect your everyday life, because all of a sudden you start seeing things. But I think the wife gave me this analogy, so she heard it somewhere, I'm not sure. They were talking about this. Imagine you go, I've told you the warehouse analogy. Yeah, you go into the warehouse and it's all off, and you go into this massive warehouse, but you know it's a massive warehouse, but you can't see any. You get out like a little flashlight or something, and you got a torch, and then you go around. You go, oh wow, I spotted, and then you're looking at that thing, and it's really interesting. Well, if you're going to imagine someone comes into that warehouse, lights, and then you look around the whole warehouse, and you realize that every shelf is like there's stuff everywhere. That everywhere you look, there's just so much, and that one with your flashlight, behind that, beside that, above it, and below it, and all around it was. And once you see that, once someone makes you aware, there is just so much more that you can't like unsee it. Like from that moment on, you know there's more to the story. I walk around, I'm seeing things and finding things, but because you just know there's so much more that you don't know. And when you get an expert and you just get to a section of that warehouse and you just push on the flashlight on the big lights, and all of a sudden they give you a perspective of how much more there is to know. You might be an expert based on the information that you have, but when you actually speak to someone that knows so much, there is so much more to this. There is no possible way I could be an expert on this topic as well as the expert. You know what I mean? So yeah, that's what I love, and that's when we get these dudes on and these people on there.
Yeah, well, it's a fast way to get different perspectives and new ideas, speaking to experts in their fields, and then you can just cross-reference that experience, and then you come up with just random things, and sometimes that's a really cool product or service, hey?
Yeah, it is, hey? And it's just not what you expect. Some of the answers you get, it's like, oh my gosh, I really wanted it to be this. It's like, it kind of makes sense. Now I know why we do what we do,
Yeah.
I think the same with these microbiome dudes. I just can't stop getting obsessed with that. But it's important to consider not just the ingredients, but absolutely every aspect of it, and even like of how much electricity do they use? Like, are we freeze drying because we want it to be pure, or we can accept it not being purity, but we also want to save the environment from like all the and that sort of stuff. You don't understand every decision that you make in a product through these series of questions, and we run through this like there's this dude Ed Heroes. If you ever find any books written by Edward de Bono, read them. But they're doing these. I can't remember if it's 6 hats or more. But anyway, it's 6 hats of thinking. I think it's 6. Read the book and you tell me. So it talks about these different hats, and you put on different. What we try to do when we do these businesses, we don't want arguing, and we don't want passionate people. Have what we call parallel thinking, because when parallel thinking, what we do is we pick a topic and we all gather as possible. But for every decision, you should be considering, yes, it's good to feel your positive intuition, what's your negative fears, document that shit, get it out of the way. What are the numbers? Know how much does it cost, all that sort of stuff. What's the environmental impact of it? So we basically run down through all of this different information, unless you collected all that information, because if you are making a decision without collecting all the different information, then it's whoever argues. So that doesn't work. It's got to be collecting data, parallel thinking, not arguing, looks hats of thinking, and it's one of the best things you'll ever do. And that's the way you should be. We get actual information. And if you don't have all the information that you need to make a decision, then, you know. So.
Yeah, man, absolutely. And that's why science is a evolution. It's always changing and it's never right and it's never going to catch up. So we're always going to be testing things and taking different and new ideas and adapting to our environment. So there's always going to be a variable, hey?
Yeah, and science doesn't care about what you want. It's more interested in just kind of going, although there are certain scientists that you can pay them a certain amount to get what you want. So, no. So, but that's not real science. So,
yeah, absolutely. Well, we'll keep this short and sweet for everyone. Do you want to let's? So basically, in the next couple of weeks, we should have the protein in and ready to send out.
And safe. We'll say October.
Yeah,
October. So just to be safe, we'll have some in October, and then we'll start bagging some up and sending it out for people. For anyone around Australia, we'll be at various locations doing taste testing and that as well. James Newbury, the superstar of the organisation, along with our other superstar distribution team that head up by Mick Galley at Prime, the band back together and get back on the road and turning up at all sorts of places doing taste testing. And of course, so James will be happy to do all sorts of stupid exercise and shit with you. And I'll talk. Yeah. So that'll work well. So hopefully we'll be coming around you. And I know we have got some big plans for America as well. So any of the people over there, we'll get to visit you. I've got a lot of friends that I want to visit in Brazil, but I'm kind of a little bit scared. So I was like, And so then we've got a lot of places that we want to go to. So we're going to try as possible. But definitely Australia and America will be in the next months when I'm allowed out again. Pure bloods can't travel. Yeah.
Not yet. But
not yet. I'm close.
Yeah, killer. All right, well, we've got heaps to look forward to, and next week we'll be having a bit of a yarn about all the data we've collected so far and give you guys a bit of an update then, and we'll have more of an idea on when we can ship out that protein. I'm frothing for it. Yeah,
and I've got other testing stuff to send out as well. I just slot before I can start the second lot. So
yeah, perfect. Oh, killer. Talk soon, everyone. Thank you for showing up.
Oh, thank you for having me. All right.